Welcome to Executive Insights. My guest today is Eric Whaley, Chief Information Officer with Wolseley Canada. In this episode, Eric shares examples of digital adoption in the wholesale and distribution industry since the pandemic. We explore key strategies he has implemented to build out a platform of the future and how he's embracing the shift to a centralized IT model. I also asked Eric to share best practices on the topic of talent and leadership. You won't want to miss it. Hi, Eric. Thank you so much for joining me and welcome to Executive Insights.
Well, thanks very much for having me here today.
Eric, since we launched the videocast series in 2020, I've spoken with CIOs from a variety of industries, but you're the first guest from the wholesale and distribution sector. So I'm very excited and looking forward to our conversation.
I am too, Nasheen, and thanks again for having me.
Wolseley Canada is a leading wholesale distributor to plumbing, heating, and cooling systems, waterworks, and industrial markets.
That's
From
right.
your observation, how is the digital adoption in the industry in the past year?
Well, with the pandemic in the past year, I think what we found is we've had a leading e-commerce site in our industry in Canada, and it's well used by our customers. But I think it was really important when the pandemic hit that it was there. So that allowed the customers to really utilize that site well, so that they could do things such as putting orders in the site ahead of time, and then we complemented that with a curbside pickup, so that when they went to the branch, the order was already waiting for them. It allowed basically a low touch atmosphere, and made it easy for the customers to do business with us while ensuring that there's good safety protocols for both the customers and their staff. Found that was really important to our customers, and I think they really appreciated that. We also introduced a texting application during this year as well. So that really helped as well, where the customers were enabled to text back and forth with our branches, asking questions about orders, putting orders in through verbal communications like that, or through the textual communications. So that adoption, complemented with the importance of our relationship business, has been really good this year. But I do want to stress that the biggest thing was making sure we had really good health and safety protocols for both our employees and our customers throughout the pandemic. And we complemented that with some digital solutions that enabled that safety while making it easy for the customers to do business with us.
That's really good to hear. Adoption is really half of the battle. And the other half, of course, is the technology innovation. And
Yeah.
as a CIO, you're building out a platform of the future that is cloud first, digitally enabled, and full omni-channel environment.
Yeah.
So reality is there are still a lot of legacy systems at play. And
Yeah.
how do you balance running a business on legacy systems, investing in new digital initiatives, and also addressing technical debt all at the same time? What's your strategy for building out a team to support this vision?
Yeah, a really good question. And we started on this about 5 years ago. So we knew we had to replace and modernize some of the really big systems we had, for example, our ERP. But jumping into that right away was not the right strategy to take. So we took an approach where we wanted to make sure the foundations we had around the ERP and all our other legacy systems were sound, so that they were running well and they could be dependable throughout our journey. So that was number one. Number two, as you mentioned, we've been on a cloud and SaaS journey, and we started that about 4 or 5 years ago intentionally, so that we can move some of those legacy systems into the cloud and SaaS. That allowed us to move away some of the costs of running infrastructure, as well as move away from having to have resources focused on infrastructure. And we were able to put them on more value-added business needs. The third thing is related to cloud and SaaS. Anything new that we needed to put in place to support our business during this journey, our intention and what we've done is we've gone to SaaS first or a cloud solution. So that's been really important. So getting that foundation straight, having that journey starting with the SaaS and cloud, really important. And then we started addressing the team dynamic. So what should the model of the team be? So by shifting that cloud, as I mentioned, we were able to shift that money and the skill set into value added. We looked at what did we really need for the future. So we needed that balance of running legacy systems while we moved to the modernized systems. We really made an effort to bring in people into the team, actually from the business areas, that their number one skill was that they really understood the business, and it was complemented with a, I'd say, a pretty unique skill set that these folks were really solidly had an understanding of technology. So they really understood how to leverage technology to solve the business problems. So what we ended up with was a great balance of a team with I call them business solution consultants, complemented by technologists. So that was really important to get the model in place. And what I can't emphasize enough about this is you can get the model in place, but you have to have the engagement of the team. You have to have a true team-oriented environment where there's a lot of trust, there's a lot of interaction and collaboration amongst people, and that everyone understands where you're going, what the vision is, and that everyone is working together to do that. So you can get a model in place, but unless you have the behaviors and the type of people that have that dynamic, it wouldn't work as well. So we've really accomplished that. That's been really key to us. The other thing you need to do then is you get the foundation straight, you've got the team dynamic there. Now you have to have a really good plan and strategy for where you're going, and from there you need to develop a roadmap. Part of that roadmap and assessment is looking at what your risks are. So you have to identify and know what your risks are and have a plan to deal with those if they materialize, and have mitigations in place. So that's been really, really the dynamic of how we've addressed going on our digital journey, and it's been successful. We're at the point where we are in the throes at attacking those bigger systems like the ERP, and it's going well. And it is a challenge. You've got to balance the legacy with the new. So the other thing we do from a business perspective is really strong prioritization. So we work together, and it's easy to say, and it's more difficult to do, right? Is to really focus in on what is absolutely critical and core to achieve what you need to be doing in the future, and really stick to those priorities and really limit any new things that you need to do. So when we look at new projects or initiatives coming up, there's a real good structure and a real good approach to looking at is that a great return on that investment? Does it complement where we're going? Will it cause conflict? So we're really focused on strong prioritization.
Your multi-tier approach to addressing the technology requirements, the business needs, and mapping the skill sets to fit these business needs is so valuable, and also for other CIOs in the other organizations to reference as well. Last time I heard from you in our conversation that you're moving your IT to a more centralized model to be more North America focused. And this would mean that you would need to integrate business processes and product data with Ferguson, your parent company. What are the challenges and opportunities that come with this shift?
Well, there's lots of opportunities. So by doing that, you benefit from the economies of scale. You get cost efficiencies. As you get things put in place, you have more, or more speed to market on changes and new things. So there's all kinds of benefits for the organization, and from an individual basis, from a Canadian IT team point of view, for example, it opens up the door for career opportunities for people. It opens up the door for learning a greater breadth of technologies and approaches and methods and things like that. So there's a large number of benefits and opportunities to this. It does come with challenges though. So when someone joins an organization, they usually join for different reasons. One might be physical location. One might be the characteristics or behavior of the team that they're joining. There's all kinds of reasons. So when you're taking people from that safety or comfort zone, you have to be very cognizant of why they're here to begin with, right? So the challenges are you're bringing them into the unknown, right? So there that comes with a little bit of fear, a little bit of excitement. So you just really have to help people through that. And part of helping them through is to show them what the vision is, to be very, very transparent with them all along the way, be very communicative. And again, I go back to setting up the model out of the team. If you have a team that has got a lot of trust, it's got a lot of collaboration, they all work really well together, it makes that challenge a little bit easier. So it's really all about change management and really providing that empathy, seeing other people's point of view and making sure as you help people move along and emphasize help people move along, that's the key. So it's a challenge that can be overcome with good leadership to get to a world where there's just all kinds of opportunity.
Yeah, so addressing change management and building that transparency and trust, very important element in times
Yeah,
like this.
yeah,
And Eric, you've been part of our CIO community conversations for so many years, and this will come as no surprise to you that the topic of talent remains in all of our CIO conversations. Unfortunately, we're going through an economic crisis, and many organizations are faced with budget constraints, which will make it even more challenging to acquire hot skill sets such as AI and machine learning.
right.
In the past couple of years, you have collaborated with the University of Toronto to augment the skills gap. Can you talk a little bit about this collaboration, how it all came about, and what benefits have you gained from this partnership?
Sure, sure. We're in our third year of a partnership with the University of Toronto, and it's been absolutely great. And how this came about is I attended actually a roundtable that your organization had put on, and one of the attendees there was a fellow by the name of Yuri Lorishin from University of Toronto, and it came through in the conversation that they had this program in place. So him and I, talked after that roundtable, and we were both quite interested in a partnership and what that might look like, and things just really blossomed from there. So I really want to thank IT Media for this. You really helped us out, and it's been a great experience for us. So what we've accomplished with this is probably more than we even had expected at first. So there's the tangible things. So we were able to get greater insight into our data and also deliver things like a recommendation engine based on AI onto our e-commerce site, which is absolutely great. And we have some other projects like that in process right now. But really, the intangibles are, to me, are even a bigger benefit. So this provided cross-functional engagement for the organization. So having people were quite interested from all the different areas, and they wanted to be involved with this, and they work directly with our IT team and with the University of Toronto, and they just find it just refreshing, right? And it helps them develop a different way of thinking about how problems can be solved in the future. So I'd say that's a big thing, that cross-functional engagement. I'd say the second thing is AI, ML, and other emerging technologies are going to be more and more leveraged by organizations as they go forward. So as we're going through our modernization of our systems right now, we know that as we get through that, we're going to be spending more and more time on emerging technologies such as AI and ML. So this allows us to get that knowledge and experience of working with people who have that knowledge and experience to prepare us for when we start putting more and more effort into that. And the third thing, I think it's a value to the University of Toronto themselves and the students because they interact and they're able to enhance their program at the same time as we're able to leverage value from them. So I think it's just overall a win-win situation. We could never really jump into something like AI and ML and hire or contract people from the street. One, there's not still not a lot of people available for that, and two, they're quite expensive. So this was a great way for us to have an affordable, effective method in place
I'm so happy to hear that this collaboration has sparked from one of our CIO roundtable conversations. But I'm even more pleased to hear how far this partnership has come along and the business outcomes, both for you and for providing University of Toronto an opportunity to have their students work directly with the business. It's really an all-around win-win situation, to your point. Another topic that's often top of mind is leadership, and especially in times like this. I'm wondering, what is your leadership philosophy? And also, are there any strategies that you've implemented in leading a virtual workforce that you find particularly effective?
Sure. Okay. So on the topic of leadership, my belief is the role of a leader is to grow and groom other leaders. That's probably one of the most important aspects of that. What I value in leaders and leadership is, I guess, a few things. One is caring. So understanding what motivates and drives people, really looking out for their best interests, having empathy, really having great listening skills, being humble, knowing that you may not have all the skills and all the answers. So, really opening the door to make sure that you're complementing your skills with the gaps that you may have, and being open minded enough and humble enough that you are learning from and adopting and adapting to other people's points of view. I just think that that whole people part of it is absolutely important. When it comes to vision, strategy, direction, I think that also needs to be inclusive and collaborative, right? So when you're working with other people, it's important to have decision making, but it's really important to take the best of all the points of views and develop that strategy. So to me, it's really the caring of people and really growing and growing them and just learning from each other. So taking that into the virtual point of view, I find that through the pandemic, what's been really important is people working from home. You know, a lot of people love it, but there's challenges, right? People are in different situations. It can have a lot of benefits, but it can also be very stressful for some, whether you're at home and maybe don't have the best working conditions at home, or you're at home with your kids and you need to do the schooling throughout the day, or maybe you're living alone and you need that personal interaction, right? And you're missing that. So what's been really important is to just be cognizant and recognize what people may be going through. And so the things that we've done, I'd say, are fairly simple, which is the leaders will have their usual one-to-ones and their team meetings, but we get the whole team together once or twice a week. Once we do it, just to get everyone together and see how is everyone doing? Is how you adjusting? Are you okay this week? And just letting people know that if you ever want to talk, if you ever have challenges, we're all here for each other. So I think that's appreciated. And I think the fact that, again, our team is strong, the fact that people in the leadership have that caring attitude has really helped. The second time we meet every week is just to not do any work. We just have a virtual fun activity, and we've developed these on our own, and they've been effective. Like I love them too. They're like we do Wheel of Fortune or trivia type of quizzes, and it just allows you to change your pace of the week or the day and do something completely different, and it's fun. So having that virtual engagement is really key. I actually think there's business opportunities that in the future to really develop and help companies through that virtual type of engagement. And then, you know, the other thing is I'm personally used to, I'm more of a visual person. So when I'm in a meeting, I like to use whiteboards and draw and collaborate and all that. So I just find simple things like putting up a Word document, a blank Word document, when you've got a group of people together, and then just capturing thoughts and actions so that everyone's seeing it, just as though you're in a workroom. And I know there's lots of tools available that you could buy for that as well, but I just think that's important. I think people experience a lot of meetings these days for whatever reason. So to me, it's key to keep those meetings short and productive. And I guess in the virtual world as well, it's really important just to communicate, communicate, communicate. So I don't have any great tricks about it. It's just this virtual management that I've learned a lot from the people on my team of what to do. It's just really keeping that human connection as much as you can in the digital world.
Thank you so much, Eric, for sharing your valuable perspectives and a wealth of insights. I really appreciate this conversation.
I've really enjoyed it, and thank you, Nasheen, for having me today.
You've been watching another episode of Executive Insights by the IT Media Group. Thank you for tuning in. If you like this video, please check out other CIO-centric content on our YouTube channel, including roundtable conversations and executive interviews. And don't forget to subscribe